Hello. Okay, try to make up this whole exercise. Okay. Yeah. Hello. Good morning. I hope the streaming process is going on perfectly well. We're trying to bring you the new Italian law DPCM for this month of October. Yeah. Good morning once again. Welcome to Diaspora Facts. I remain your humble host, Chris Pedro. This morning we want to quickly be looking at the new law that had just been passed yesterday. We want to give you the analysis about the law and in the battle, in battling with this COVID-19 coronavirus, and the Prime Minister Conte I just passed into law yesterday night, the new DPCM for the month of October. In case of those of us who does not know the meaning of DPCM, that is DPCM. The D, it means decreto. The P means presidente. The C means concilio. And the M means ministry. That is ministries in English. So the full meaning of DPCM, it means Decreto del Presidente del Consiglio dei Ministri. That is the laws, the decree of the President of the Senate. The decree of the President of the Senate. Okay, let's put it that way. Senate President, which is Prime Minister Conte, Giuseppe Conte, as most of us know it. So yesterday, being the 25th of October 2020, the Prime Minister passed into law another law, decreto, and that law is to fight the COVID-19. A lot of people have been wondering, even before yesterday, there were a meeting scheduled for day before yesterday, which was on the 24th of October, which was on Saturday, but the meeting couldn't hold because of a lot of hindrances that was going on among the ministries, among the senators, and so the meeting was later postponed to yesterday. Now, one of these hindrances was that a lot of ministers were eagering and agitating that there should be total closure of the land, there should be a total closure of all activities, as what happened before in March, starting from March 10th, April, and May. So, but the Prime Minister and a lot of ministers, after they have gone through the vote, they said that Italy couldn't withstand the total closure of the particular of the city. So the executive goals is to avert a second general lockdown, a second general lockdown, which would have a devastating impact on the country's economy, which has already been hit hard on the land of Italy. So on several occasions, the Prime Minister has ruled out their potencies, but this requires more restrictive measures. It is not surprising then the possibility of limiting travel between provinces and regions. So these particular laws yesterday, a lot of people have been agitating that this law is hard on them, most especially the restaurants and the bars and so many other organizations. There have been protests even in the city of Roma and Napoli. There have been serious protests. I think it started on It started the very first day that a law was passed, and when Conte gave rights to the regional governors to pass other laws. That was last week. Ever since then, there have been series of protests. On Wednesday, Thursday, there have been huge protests in some of these cities. When the police blocked the way pass of prominent businesses at the time of 6 p.m., 9 p.m., sorry, when the police blocked some way pass and put a curfew on some states. So the people were protesting and protesting and protesting. But today, as yesterday, the Prime Minister Conte make a new decree. A new decree now to combat this COVID-19 issue. Don't mind me, I'm trying to share this broadcast to a lot of people, please. That's why I'm looking at my phone right now. I'm trying to share the broadcast to a lot of people. So in case you are just joining us, this is Diaspora Facts. And in this program, we give you a right for people to contribute. But based on some technical issues, we cannot do a live call. But you can also contribute by sending us a message through the WhatsApp number that is displayed right now on your screen. You can send a text message, and then the message will be read to the general public, and the general public can also see your message. Or you can do a voice message. If you want to contribute, you can do a voice message to this particular number that is displaying right now on your screen. You can do a voice message. I think that one will be easier. If you do a voice message, everybody will get to hear what you are contributing to this particular. How do you see this particular DPCM? But meanwhile, the WhatsApp number is 380-2019-330. So you can, please don't call, because there is no means for the general public to hear your voice. The technical department has been fixing that, and they couldn't finish the whole process. So, but because of time, and we need to bring this broadcast, we scheduled this broadcast to be commencing by 9 a.m. today. But because of some technical issues, and we have to shift it to this time. But meanwhile, you can contribute by sending us a voice message or a text message, WhatsApp only, so that the general public can hear your voice. So meanwhile, we are still dealing on the new DPCM. The new DPCM of Italy. What is the new law that Prime Minister Conte has just passed into law as yesterday? And this particular law, as me and you is talking now, is already been published in the Gazette of Italy. That has already been approved and certified. Now, let's quickly jump into this particular scenario. What are these laws? The law covers 5 important things. The law covers 6 major things. 6 major things. And the law was a little bit hard. And the Prime Minister Conte also make an assurance that though that they know that the law is hard on some of these organizations, there will be other benefits that they will be looking into right now. And they will go to swing into action on time to make sure that those organizations, like as you all know what happened in the March of May, in the March of April, when there was a total lock in Italy, and then the Prime Minister passed into law the first DPCM that was passed. A lot of organizations benefited, though it wasn't enough. Like the una tantum, the 600 euro una tantum was given to some of those organizations with partita IVA that the lockdown was actually affecting, like the restaurants and the commercianti, that is those who do door-to-door sales, and we all know that the lockdown affected them very well. So the Prime Minister also make a reference to that in this particular one that they had just been passed yesterday, that they are making all machinery have been put in place to ensure that people who are going to be affected, who this law is going to be affecting, there will be some remuneration for them. That is another owner tantum for them. But meanwhile, we are not talking about the owner tantum today. We are going to be looking at what the law is all about so that we will know what the law is all about. Now, let's quickly jump into that particular the scenario. The very first thing we are going to be looking at, as I told you before, the law will cover six major things, 6 major areas. The first one is bars and restaurants closed from 6 p.m. Before now, as last week, there was a law that was passed that all bar and restaurant close 00. That is 8 p.m. But there's another law now that will just be signed, and the law states that bar and restaurants closed from 6 p.m. According to the text of the new DPCM, the activities of catering services, including bars, restaurants, ice cream centers, and this bakery, which we know as focacceria or thereabouts, they are allowed from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. 6 p.m. You can see that this law is a little bit hard on this set of organizations. And consumption at the restaurants, consumption at the table is allowed for a maximum of 4 people per table, unless they are all living together. So 6 persons can sit on a table to eat restaurants if they are all living together. But peradventure, if they are not living together, the restaurant can only make a provision for 4 persons per table. And if the restaurant is short and people are crowding in to eat, then what will happen to their customers? Where are they going to sit on to eat? There will be no place. Except they are living together, the customers are all living together, then they cannot sit together as family and eat. An advance on the maximum closure time of 6 hours compared to what is foreseen in the last decree of the President of the Council of Ministers, a decision which aims to avert with great force the risk arising from gathering in the evening, especially among the youngest, among the youths. We all know that these evening times are the time that restaurants get a lot of customers. And now, their time for closure has just been slated to 18:00. That is 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Takeaway catering is still allowed before midnight. Reiterating the prohibition to consume near the restaurants, also confirmed, if in compliance with the hygienic sanitary rules, the home delivering services are allowed. From 6 p.m. in the evening, nobody is allowed to eat in the restaurants or to eat close to open places close to the restaurants. Everybody are allowed to go out. But in the place where the hygienic something is in ground, hygienic sanitary rules are on place, some people can also do a takeaway from the restaurant. After 6 p.m., you can still eat close to the restaurant or thereabout, provided the hygienic sanitary rules are in place. Home services are allowed till midnight. Home services are allowed till midnight. So that gives, this particular law now is giving more force, more power to people who are into autonomy, who are working with delivering company like Just Eat, like Glovo, like Deliveroo. Now, they can now have a lot of opportunity to do their home delivering services. Now, from 6 p.m., it will no longer be possible to consume food and drinks in public places and open to the in public places that is open to the public. It will not be possible from 6 p.m. to consume food and drink in places that are open to the public. You can now see that this is the very first thing that the laws talk about, because according to the ministries, according to the ministers, there's a speculation that most of the places where people contact coronavirus is in the public places, most especially in the eating centers and in the places that are open to public, where people can come and sit down and interact with each other. And that's why the president of the ministry of the ministers is putting on this particular law. Now let's quickly look at the second thing that is affecting right now. But before we look at the second thing that is affecting right now, please, if you know that you want to participate to this program, you can send a WhatsApp message. Please don't do a call, a direct call, a WhatsApp call, because there's no facility on ground to take your call. But you can do a voice message. Once the voice message arrives, you can play it to the public and see your contribution. You can also do a test on that WhatsApp number, and then we will take the test and bring it to the public contribution. Now, what is the second thing that the laws talk about? School distance learning increases to 75%. Now, the president of the ministers didn't close down school. A lot of, I think in Lobad, as last week, when the rights were given to regional governors to pass their laws to regulate the fight of the laws that will be combating COVID-19, a lot of cities like Lobadia and regions like Lobadia, they put a closure of school. Particular law right now, there will be no total closure of school, but the distance learning has just been increased to 75%. That is to say that if you talk about 75%, we have 50% as equal. For example, if the law says that 50%, it therefore means that among the 5 days of schooling, 5 schooling days, like Monday to Friday, we will be having 3 days of learning, 3 days of distance learning, and then 2 days of present in school. Or the next week can also be 3 days, 2 days of present in school and 3 days of distance of present in school, and then 2 days of distance learning. That is 50%. But here we have 75%. 75%, it therefore means that among the 5 days of schooling, the 5 schooling days, which is Monday to Friday, distance learning will take up to 4 days. And then the other 1 day will be for presence in school. That is learning by presenting in the learning environment. Now, the prohibition of a total closure of schools is averted. As I've earlier told you, there's no total closure of school. The new Prime Minister's decree, however, institutionalized distance learning, 5% for high schools, not for the general schools, but for high schools, while for all the other nursery schools, kindergarten, elementary schools, and middle schools, face-to-face teaching continues. The elementary schools and middle schools, they will be presenting, and the daycare, they will be presenting in school to take their lessons. But For the high schools, higher institutions, the distance learning has just been increased to 75%. Now, the third thing here is theater, cinemas, casinos, and arcades have been closed. Now, within the new DPCM, the activities of amusement parks, betting centers, and bingo halls, and other casinos and places where you have your betting centers and all are all suspended. Shows open to the public in theaters, concert hall, cinemas, and in other spaces are all suspended. There will be no social gatherings in theaters, in cinemas, in casino betting centers, and all. The total closure of these centers, these places, total closure. This is a total closure. The law is telling us that there will be total closure in all these places. And not just that, the law is saying that there will be some people will be opening, and then if you can maintain some spacing, you are allowed to go ahead with this particular. No, there's a total closure of these centers. Now let's quickly look at the fourth thing that the law talks about. The fourth thing that the law talks about is curfew from 9 p.m. in some squares. Curfew from 9 p.m. in some squares. We all know what curfew is all about. Curfew is when there's a restriction of movement. You are not allowed to walk, to move when in a particular specified time. At a specified time, you are not allowed to go out, to be seen in such areas. That is curfew. Now, the Prime Minister, according to this new decreto, there will be curfew from 9 p.m. in city in some squares. Prime Minister Contel is in position to limit as far as possible gathering and meeting places where the virus spread more easily. And it is precisely during the evening, the time where youths gather the most. Thus, the text of the name reads as streets or squares in urban centers where gathering situations can be created, can be closed to the public from 9 p.m. within prejudice to the possibility of access, overflow to legitimate businesses and private homes, similar to what has already been established in a recent ordinance of the municipality of Roma. Now, we all know that in Rome, there have been protests since 3 days thereabouts, or 3 days or more. There have been protests in Rome. There are roadways that lead to people houses and prominent businesses were closed down from 9 p.m. That was there have been curfew to from 9 p.m. in some squares and in some urban areas in Rome. And now the president of the ministers has just passed into law that in most cities, in urban areas, in most cities where the coronavirus spread the more, there will be total closure from 9 p.m. prejudice to the possibility of access, overflow to legitimate businesses and private homes. There will be a total lockdown of these places. So it is advisable that if you are living in these squares, in these areas, you are supposed to go home before the curfew time. You are supposed to leave your workplace and go home before the curfew time, so to avoid unnecessary harassment and other inconveniences. But meanwhile, you can contribute by sending us a message on the WhatsApp number displaying right now on your screen, and the WhatsApp number is 380-2019-330. You can contribute by sending us a text message via WhatsApp, or by sending us a voice message via WhatsApp. But meanwhile, note that whenever you try to contribute, whenever you are contributing, your messages are going to be read to the general public. If you are doing a voice message, your voice is going to be played to the general public. And we are going to put in place other facility whereby we can take direct calls and interact with you directly. But meanwhile, before then, let's be taking our messages via WhatsApp, voice messages and text messages via WhatsApp on the number displaying right now on your screen if you want to contribute. What do you think about the new DPCM? Do you think it is necessary? Do you think that the government is, or what do you want the government to actually do? So you can do these contributions on this particular number via WhatsApp, voice messages, or rather text messages. Now let's quickly look at the fifth thing that the law talks about: closure of gyms and swimming centers. Swimming centers and gym centers, closure of these places. Although the law never talks about total closure of it. When we're going through the law, we discovered that it wasn't total closure, but partially it like a total closure of these places. Partially it was a total closure. The law specifically states that all gym centers are closed. All gym centers are closed. All swimming pools are closed. Now, to that, it looked like a total closure of these places. But the reason why it is not stated as total closure, except it was like the gym centers now, for example, will be open to those that have certified by medical certification the necessity of exercises. There are a lot of persons that just like medical can prescribe drugs to somebody and tell the person that every morning take your drug. There are a lot of persons under prescription of the medical centers and saying that you are to do this exercise, go to gym and do this exercise. So because they like it, they are doing the gym because of one ailment and the other. That is the reason why we say that this particular aspect, in this particular regard, the gym centers are not in total closure, but partially it is. Like, the decision, however, is not to be read as a total closure to sports of Palazzo Chigi. In fact, if carried out in sports centers and clubs, in alliance with the hygiene and health regulations as prescribed by a medical practitioner, sporting activity remains permitted. But outside these particular guidelines, all sporting activities remain closed. All sporting activities, contact sports and basic amateur sports are prohibited. If you are just doing your sporting for some fun or for some how do I call it, entertaining activities, there are total closure to that until another new DPCM is released. Meanwhile, you can join us in this program by contributing via the WhatsApp that is displaying right now on your screen, 380-2019-330. Please, we advise that if you want to contribute, do it by sending us a message on this WhatsApp number, voice messages or text messages only. We cannot be able to take a direct call for the now, but you can contribute by sending out voice messages. Immediately we receive a voice message, we will notify the general public. So I think somebody just sent us a voice message right now. Let's quickly look at what the person have to say to us. Hi, good evening. This is just a greeting, and there's a greeting. There's a voice message. There's a message that we just received right now, and it said, "Hi, good evening." Though we will not give you the person except we have a permission if the person tells us to give the number out or to tell his or her name. But right now, the person, there's a contribution right now. I think the person is just saying, "Hi, good evening." Please, if you want to contribute, go straight to what we are saying. No need for salutation, no need for greetings. Just go straight to what you are saying. If you want to write, you can write to us. If you want to give us a voice message, you can send us a voice message. We'll play it to the general. Thank you very much for joining us right now. Thank you very much for joining us right now. Meanwhile, let's go straight again to the next particular, the last one that the law is all about. Limited movement. The law also also talks about limited movement. Movement from one municipality, from one region to another, from one province to another. In case of those of us who does not understand what region is all about, region means state. I think we can take it that way. Region means state. If you are traveling from, no, does it mean state? No. We won't take it as state. Regions is, province means state. Regions mean, how do I call it now? Like when you have eastern part of Nigeria, western part of Nigeria, I think that is the regional area. That's the region area. Now, you cannot travel from one region to another except you have a legitimate purpose of traveling. That is what the law is saying. You cannot travel from one region to the other. The law is saying that limited movement. The Prime Minister Contel in the new DPCM reads that it is strongly recommended that all natural persons do not move by public or private means of transport to a municipality other than that of residence, domicile, or home. If you want to move, you can only move to a region if you are a resident in that region. Maybe you went outside your residence and you are going back. That is a perfect excuse of going back to that region, of moving from one region you were before to your region of residence. Or maybe peradventure, you are not in that residence. You don't have a residence there, but you stay there. You domicile there. That is domicilio. You have a domicilio in that particular place. It's your place where you stay, but you don't have a resident there. Maybe you have resident in Sicily and you are staying in Roma. Then you can, from Roma, you can move to Sicily and go and stay. Or maybe you from Sicily, you can go to where you have your residence. That is, a lot of people they stay in different places, they domicile in different places, and then they have residents in different places. Some take hospitality in different places and have residents in other region. Now, that is one way you can, if it is proven this way, you are permitted to move from region to region. Now, except for proven work needs, If maybe you are staying in Lobadia, and you want to go to what do I call it now? You want to go to another region, particularly let's talk about Liguria. If you want to go to Liguria, you are staying in Lobadia, except of a work reason. By work reason, you can also move from place to place. Maybe you are be called to go and do some particular work that are not in lockdown right now, then that is still open to the general public. You can travel from region to region. Otherwise, you are not permitted to move. There is a limited movement, restriction of movement from one region to another region. For study, you can also be allowed to move. For health reasons, for situations of need, or to carry out activities or use services that are not suspended and not available in this municipality. If you are also going to travel for health reasons, to use some carry out activities or use some services that are not available in your municipality, you are permitted to move. In conclusion, what this one is all about is that there should be a limited movement. People shouldn't just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to move from Torino, I am traveling to Genova, or from Genova I am going to Roma. No, you don't just do that. To avoid the spread of COVID-19, there should be a specific reason of your movement. If there is no specific reasons for you to move, to leave your home, please stay home. Why this one is necessary is you may not be disturbed in living from one region to another region. You may not be disturbed by any law enforcement agent, but on your way coming back, for example, if there is a delay in your train and if there is a delay in anything you are using, your private vehicle and all, you may not be able to pass some cities where there is coffee from 9 p.m. So to avoid this unnecessary harassment, it is advised to stay in your place, except for returning back to your place of residence, for specified work activities, for some health reasons, for some study reason, to carry out some activities and to use some facilities that are not in your municipality. These reasons are good excuses to travel from one region to another region. This is some of the things that the law talks about, and we hope that God should intervene. But meanwhile, be assured, as the Prime Minister Conte have said as yesterday in his press briefing, be assured that there will be no second lockdown. With this particular DPCM, we hope that COVID-19 is going to reduce to the lowest minimum, or rather there should be total end to this pandemic. If there is a total end to this pandemic, we wouldn't be afraid of a second lockdown. So this is to avert this second lockdown. This is the reason why this DPCM has been put in place. So pass this information to others who are